Behind the Mirror of Music with Dannii Cohen.
Hello, and welcome to a brand new season of Behind the Mirror of Music. My name is Dannii Cohen. This week's guest is Ken Ard. Ken Ard originated the role of Macavity, Plato, and the Rumpus Cat in the original Broadway production of Cats, starring alongside Betty Buckley and Page and Terrence Mann. This year, Ken returns to Cats in the brand new production Cats, the Jellicle Ball on Broadway, where he stars as DJ Griddlebone alongside Andre the Shields as Old Deuteronomy. During his time on stage, Ken originated the role of Electra in Starlight Express, danced in Song and Dance / Tell Me on a Sunday with Bernadette Peters, performed in Smokey Joe's Cafe, Jelly's Last Jam, Chicago the Movie, and much more. I hope you will enjoy the show. Welcome to the show.
And hi, how are you? It's pronounced Dannii?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Well, congratulations on the opening of Cats, the Jellicle Ball, and the anniversary of Cats.
Yeah, we just opened last week, Tuesday, so this is my first weekend off. We actually had 2 days off this week because we did so many shows last week. And it's pretty exciting. It's very exciting. We're a huge hit, rave reviews all over the board. And now it's just getting into the regular run of things, of doing 8 shows a week.
I've seen lots of clips of it online, and it looks absolutely amazing and very different than the original cast that people have known.
Yes, it's very different. You have to forgive the noise. I'm in New York City, and I live in downtown, so lots of hustling and bustling going on. Yes, it's very different from the original cast, from the original company. Nobody's a cat anymore, although there are very many feline references in the show. But it all takes place in a Harlem ballroom. So we're not competing to go to the heaviside layer. We're competing for prizes. And of course, one person gets chosen, that's Grisabella. So the libretto and the music is all the same. There's a few pumped up beats here and there. But for the most part, it's just we're at a ball uptown, and I don't know if you've ever experienced that. I actually hadn't until I got this show, and then I went to do some research, and it is pretty incredible.
Well, I heard about it because I've been a fan of RuPaul's Drag Race, and because of that, I started looking into the history of drag and also ballrooms, and I've always loved what I saw. But could you, if possible, explain to viewers who don't know what it is?
Well, a ball, basically, the ball culture was basically created for disenfranchised people, for queer, gay, trans, Black, Latino X people that weren't invited into the mainstream of entertainment. And so they created their own. We created our own. And it is kind of like going to an awards ceremony where people are not actually being judged on the work that they did, but they're being judged on the work that they're bringing to the ball party itself. So there are competitions, and there are categories. I don't know if you've ever watched Pose, but Pose kind of explains it a lot. And also, Paris is Burning is a perfect example of that. So I recommend all people that are coming to the show, if they want to get a little background on what's happening on stage, they should watch Paris is Burning first, because it gives you a detailed roadmap into what the show's brain is about, and also Pose, which is more of a light dusting of what happens, but it gives you an outline of what's going on when you come to see the show. We've taken all of the Cats' different songs where they present themselves and turned them into categories. So that's basically how it works. And people compete within those categories, like Virgin Vogue, or Realness, or Runway, or labels, things like that.
I think because what I've read is that cats is now means categories.
Yes, I guess you can say that. I never even thought about that, but it's Cats, the Jellicle Ball, and I guess that's pretty smart that Cats is the categories of which people are competing in.
Whose idea was it to make this new version of Cats?
I believe it all started with the director Bill Rausch, and then he went to look to legitimize it because Bill Rausch is an older white gentleman who had some ideas, and he wanted to legitimize his idea, and he consulted with some people, and he is collaborating with Jalen Livingston, who is another young Black director. And they both did their research and hired 2 ballroom choreographers that actually compete and work in the ballrooms. And that is Amari Wiles and Arturo Lyons, both pillars in the community. And together with several different people, they've done some research and got consultants and worked it out where it actually does fit within the ballroom community. They've hired people from the ballroom community. They've hired people from the theatrical community. The casting is really shows that. So I think it started with Bill Rausch of having Grisabella be an old gay man in a bar talking about his memory. And it switched from that to having Grisabella being a trans woman, Chastity Moore, Temperance Chastity Moore, and who's really, really incredible. And it's probably the most queer, gay, trans representation that has ever been on Broadway. I mean, Rent kind of touched on that back in the 90s, I believe, like that, but nothing compared to this. And it really is monumental.
Absolutely amazing to have such a cast on Broadway.
Yeah.
And high time as well.
Yes, exactly.
And who are you playing in the show?
I am playing a character that actually did not exist in the original company. His name is DJ Griddlebone. The name Griddlebone does exist within T.S. Eliot's book of poems, but to create a DJ, because in every ball there is a DJ who pumps the beats, who works with the commentator to create the music for the categories. So I'm playing that. I'm playing the DJ Griddlebone. I start the show out, and I kind of hover over the proceedings. I am in a separate box from everybody else. I come down to the stage. I'm kind of like a trickster. I come down to the stage occasionally and do a little something, but the majority of the show, I'm up in a DJ booth, which is on the level of the mezzanine. So, of course, 90% of the audience gets to see me. There's like several seats under me or on stage that don't see me when I'm in the DJ booth. They only see me when I appear on stage. But the mezzanine is where my big audience is. I'm on the same level as them, and I basically pump up the energy for the show.
Must be an amazing part, and especially because you are in the original cast of the original show on Broadway.
Yes.
It must be amazing to be back after all this time. This new brand new version.
It is pretty amazing. It's actually monumental. I mean, a lot of papers, some papers have noted that I'm back in the show. I actually thought by getting the show, it would be a huge deal. But a lot of people are like, nah, Ken Ard is in the show. You know, it's just, you know, it's just common. I've been in so many shows on Broadway, but it is a huge deal. It is really amazing. I played the original Macavity in the production on Broadway, and many people kind of idolize Macavity. They put Macavity on this pedestal, but if you've ever seen the show, Macavity doesn't really do much. He has a dance number, of course, but he just appears and causes, you know, mayhem. He doesn't have a song. He doesn't introduce himself, but throughout the entire show, everyone fears Macavity. Everyone, you know, the name Macavity causes such fear in people. And I basically come out and just, you know, cause havoc. But in this show, Macavity is much more pumped up. Macavity gets to play not an evil character, but a mischievous character, and is played by Leomi, who is a ballroom icon. Very funny, very sexy, just a beautiful. It's a transformation of Macavity. It's like Macavity has become a trans person. They've shifted their mystery into something else, and it's really brilliant the way that she acts it, and the decision to make Macavity a trans woman.
Amazing. Brand new thought. And as you say, the transformation of Macavity is a wonderful idea.
Well, it played downtown 2 years ago. It was a big off-Broadway hit. I saw it down there 3 times. I was not living in New York at the time. I was actually subletting my apartment and traveling the world, living in California. I was teaching in Dartmouth. Me and my husband were in London, and we heard the show was coming to Broadway. I mean, not to Broadway, but to off-Broadway. And they had done Cats in 2016, which was basically a museum piece. They tried to bring back the original show in its form. Some updated choreography by Andy Blankenbuehler, but still Gillian Lynn's outline of choreography. And it didn't do very well. And when they brought it back again, you know, several years later, I just thought, oh my God, what are they going to do with Cats? I crossed my arms and just like, oh, really? And then I heard they were doing it in the Harlem Ballroom sitting, and I thought, does everything have to be gay? You know? And then I saw it and I thought, yes, it does. It does have to be gay. Because it makes so much sense. It's so brilliant. They didn't have to change any of the libretto. It just works.
It's great that it can be so transformative, this show. It's coming to the Netherlands as well now, again, in a new...
Yes, in a new form, right? But not the ballroom. I've seen that. And one of my students from Frank Saunders is actually in it. Yannick Pleiners, I believe his name is.
I think so. It's set in a museum, and the cats are causing havoc at night, coming into the museum, and they're stepping out of paintings and everything. It's also a brand new revived version.
I'm so interested to see what that's going to be like.
Me too. I think this month they're going to do a introduction piece at the Dutch Musical Awards.
Oh, wow. Wow. That's very interesting.
It is. Do you have any memories of how you started in the original show, how you got into it?
I had arrived in New York in 1981, the summer of 1981. Cats opened October 7th, 1982. Cats was my 3rd Broadway show. So I had arrived in New York, gotten my first Broadway show by that October of 81. I was doing a show called Marlowe, Then after Marlowe closed, it only ran for a few months. After Marlowe closed, I got a show called Little Prince and the Aviator. And that actually never opened. We went through previews and previews, and it closed in previews. Then I got Cats. And when I heard the soundtrack for Cats, I knew immediately that it was the show for me. And I auditioned like everyone else. I probably had 7 or 8 auditions for it because they really, when Gillian Lynn came to New York and started auditioning people, she was amazed at how much talent there was. Back in those days, London didn't have many dance studios, and they were, of course, talented people there, but she didn't have the cream of the crop like they had in New York. Now in London, it's just, it's completely different.
Yes.
They have so many major dancers and choreographers, and the West End is huge, and it's just as brilliant as being in New York on Broadway. But back then it was a little different, and she just was like a kid in a candy store. So she auditioned people over and over again. And I was one of those people that got kept and got cast in Cats. It was the most exciting time of my life because I knew finally I was going to be in a big hit show. And I had this amazing friendship with Gillian Lynn that lasted for years until she passed away, of course. It was the most amazing time. It was brilliant. I learned so much from that show. I got to work with one of my big idols, Ken Page, who taught me so much. It was just a brilliant experience for a 21-year-old kid, coming to New York.
Do you have any memories of working on stage, working with certain things that you remember?
I remember it was a hard show. We danced and sang all the way through. It was my first injury in a show where I tore a cartilage in my knee. It was my second knee operation. I had one when I was 17 in high school. It was a big learning experience. It was one of those things where you finally learn, oh, this is what 8 shows a week is like in a hit show for Broadway. The first 2 shows that I did were not as hard. They were easier shows. They were more ensemble characters. And we didn't get into a run. I think I did my first show. We probably worked for 2 to 3 months before we closed, and my second show never opened. So it was like that first time that I got to see what it was like to show up every day and do a show, and 2 on Wednesday and 2 on Saturday. And it just becomes part of your life. Many people think that working on Broadway is glamorous. It is not. It is like going to a job. The glamorous thing is that you get to do what you want in life. I want to work on Broadway. I love it. I love performing. And that's what's glamorous about it. But you go home, it's like there's not lots of parties, and you're not out all night because you have a show the next day. So,
and especially when you're a dancer, it must be hard on the body doing that 2 times.
Yes. I've had 9 knee surgeries, and the last 2 were replacements. So now I'm working with titanium knees at age 65.
Okay, because I heard that there were a lot of back injuries as well for cats because of certain poses that you have to keep.
Sorry, there are a lot of what?
Back injuries for with cats.
Back? Oh yeah, totally. I remember while doing Cats back many years ago, the one thing that I remember is getting out of bed in the morning where I had to like roll over a couple of times. I had to keep rolling so I could roll out of bed because my back was so stiff. And we did have some massage therapists back then in the show, but we didn't have, like right now we have a physical therapist that is at the theater just 24/7, and we're there, the physical therapist is there, and many kids go before the show. Like, I'm not dancing as hard as some of the ensemble, as I'm not dancing hard at all. The ensemble kids are breaking their necks. They're dancing. The dancing in this show is so hard.
Yes, it must be, because the folk dancing, and it must be so hard on the knees as well.
So hard on the knees, all the duck walking and the
Yes.
death drops that they do. Oh my God. I even when I was in my prime as a dancer, I don't think I could have done what these dancers are doing now. I mean, my knees would have never lasted. And just those death drops, I just can't imagine doing that 8 shows a week, and they do it.
Especially twice on one day. I always keep thinking,
Yeah.
how people do that, especially with all the dancing.
Well, they condition themselves. That's the way it is. I mean, in each generation, like when I watch a show like So You Think You Can Dance, I was a major dancer in my time when I was younger. I was a major dancer. And I watch those shows and I go, oh my God, how are they doing that with their bodies? Each generation gets stronger and learns better techniques and learns different tricks that they can do, and they're conditioned to do it. It's like, it's natural process of, Darwin's natural process of evolution. The evolution of dancers has just gotten stronger and bigger, and there's more spectacular things that can be done now.
And some things come back because you look back on something and then you improve it into this generation.
Yeah.
I mean, you worked with the Nicholas brothers, I heard.
I did many, many years ago when they were much older. Both of them were in a show, not together. When one brother was out, the other one would fill in. This is a show called Evolution of the Blues, written and performed by John Hendricks of Lamberts, Hendricks and Ross, a famous jazz trio back in the, I would say 40s and 50s. And he wrote this show called Evolution of the Blues, which goes through the different evolutions of jazz music, basically. And I was cast as right out of high school. I think I was 17 years old. And one of these sections in the show had this big tap number in it that one of the Nicholas brothers did. And I got to basically work with them in the show separately. And they were both so kind and interesting. And when I watched them in early movies, I'm so impressed with the work that they did. It was monumental. And some of the biggest dance numbers that were ever filmed.
I'm glad you get actually the internet has brought them back. That people are recognizing them now more than they ever.
Yeah.
I mean, it's such a shame that when they were there, they were hardly seen because people usually stole their routines.
Well, also because just early times of filming and racism, and they were filmed a lot, but they weren't given the notoriety that Fred Astaire or Gene Kelly were given, because they were two Black gentlemen and they weren't being featured back then. That was not being featured back then. And so, of course, they'll live on in history as one of the best dance duels ever. And they were highly paid for their craft, but they weren't paid as high as their white counterparts. So they didn't live as well. They didn't get the notoriety. And when they were older, they weren't, put on a pedestal and shown on TV like Gene Kelly or Fred Astaire or those people were. So now they just live on in history.
I think back then, when the Jackson family had their television show, they invited them on a few times.
Yes.
And Janet had them in their video.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
As talking about, I heard Andrew Lloyd Webber talk about Michael Jackson visiting Cass back then. Did you get to meet him?
I did. There were so many people, and just yesterday I thought, I wish, this was in the time when there was no internet and no cell phones, and not everybody had a camera available all the time. And I remember just meeting so many celebrities I can't even recall, but it was the biggest hit show of its time. So lots of people came, dignitaries, presidents, kings, lots of politicians, lots of uh, film stars. I remember meeting Cary Grant, um, and was it Cary Grant or was it, what's the other one? I can't even recall. So just yesterday, I mean, I've been off for 2 days. Just yesterday, a friend of mine actually bought me an autograph book because there's so many. We have guest judges that come. So there's every night there's two important celebrity people in that are part of the show who judge part of the competitions. But even after those two people, there's so many celebrities that are coming to see our show. And of course, now we have cell phones and we can take pictures.
Yes.
But I also like to get autographs, to have a book to, for people to sign that come to see the show. So I just got one yesterday and I'm excited to use it. I wish I had been using it from the beginning. Last week was our opening night, and we've had previews. So now I'll start using that book and getting people's signature in it. So I remember who all came, and even the celebrities that have come so far. And I have pictures of, I don't know all of them because I don't watch television and that kind of thing. So I have to, after they're there, I have to do research. Oh, that's that person. Yeah.
Glad it's such a big hit, and that with all these celebrity guests who spread the word, I guess it'll even become bigger.
Yes. Yes. I think it's going to be huge. I don't think it's going to run for 18 years because it really is a special niche project, but I think it will attract a huge audience. And a lot of people are coming to see a show where they have not been represented. And that, I think, is very special.
Yeah, because as you say, it's been so long that so to have such a show and to have full of all these, what you say, niche corners finally come together.
Yes. Yes.
Of course, the question, what is it like working with Andre the Shields?
My mentor, my king, my deity, the icon. He's pretty amazing. He's been around and doing this for a very long time. I don't think he's ever had a slow period. I mean, there may have been times, but he's the king of Broadway right now. He's a charming man. It's just brilliant. I've been his cover. I covered him in a show called Halftime. And when I was a teenager in California, he was doing a show called Ain't Misbehavin'. I'm not quite sure. I guess it was The Wiz first, then Ain't Misbehavin'. And both of those shows I idolized because they were Black shows where they were very rare to have a Black cast on Broadway. And so I idolized those shows. And when I got to New York, I got to meet Ken Page in my first big hit show, Cats, who I idolized because he was in Ain't Misbehavin'. And I didn't meet Andre for years. I knew about him. We kind of swam in the same circles, but he was like in one part of the circle and I was in the other. And it was until I got this show Halftime. This was after I moved back from Holland, living in Holland. I believe it was 2015 or 16, something like that. And it was done at the Paper Mill Playhouse in New Jersey, which is a big theater in New Jersey. Lots of shows go there, and then they come to Broadway. And this was a show about a senior citizen dance troupe who did halftime shows at basketball games. And I got hired to be his cover, his offstage cover. And that's when I got to meet and know him. And he's just an amazing gentleman, no nonsense, very clear in his intentions, and a great mentor. He's been a great mentor to me. It's wonderful to work with Andre de Shields.
I always love seeing him when old videos of him, or even his Instagram. He's so beautiful and glamorous, and has such a grace.
Yes, it's true. It's very elegant. And this cast, I mean, I'm a very fashionable gentleman when I get dressed. This cast of characters is one of the best dressed cast I've ever experienced in my life. And Andre sits at the top of it. He dresses so elegantly in interviews, and just, you know, he's never at a loss of the right thing to say. You know, everything that comes out of his mouth is like a perfect soundbite.
One of those people where when you look at them and you think, I wish I could do that, talk like that, or even think like that.
Yes, exactly. I model, I try to, it's impossible because he's educated in such a way, but I try to model myself. When I see him, I go, okay, how do I implement his way of being into my life? And I believe the best way to do that is to try to be your best self, to try to be a good person, to try to be elegant and calm, and speak with people the way that you would want them to speak with you. He's super highly intelligent. And yeah, I do look to him as a role model.
He's really of course, one of the greatest role models to have.
Yes. And the fact that he's been in this business for as long as he has, and has the reputation that he has. I mean, just his pure entrance when he comes out on stage, he can't do anything for 5 minutes because the audience goes nuts. He doesn't have to do anything. He comes out of the curtain and the audience goes nuts. That is a career well made. You know, when you can have people screaming for you for that long without doing anything, you just walk into the room. And that is his gravitas. That is a part of his career. That's what he's done for himself. He's never been on stage where it's not important, you know?
Absolutely amazing.
Well, this is my fourth show with Andrew. Andrew doesn't specifically work with actors. Andrew comes in and encourages the cast. Andrew is a genius, and I have experienced him here. I've experienced him more in this production than in any other production ever. He usually has a lot to say, but it's usually to the creative team on his vision. But I've noticed in these years of his life that he's so super grateful and happy. He's done all of this work in the past that is now returning, like Jesus Christ Superstar, Evita, Sunset, Cats. These things are all over the world and running all the time. And he's traveling all the time to oversee them. And one of his musical director, is a person that works closely with Andrew, who travels with him and is his right-hand man, explained to me that when Andrew saw the show last week, he sat in the audience and he did not have one note. It was just like, I don't have any notes. This is amazing. This is great. And that is super impressive.
It is.
So, and he's shown up to the show several times, just smiling and greeting the cast. I've never experienced that before. So it's pretty special.
It is. It must be because it's such a huge experience for the audience as well, that it just everything clicks.
Yes. I think when he sees it in the audience going wild, he's just like, this is perfect. I have nothing to say about it. I mean, I think our show, because I get to watch it from my perch every night. I watch all of the proceedings, and then I go down and I become part of it, and then I go back up to my DJ booth. It is organized chaos. It's basically, that's what it is, just organized chaos. And it's so brilliantly done. That's the only way I can explain it.
Your other productions with Andor, Starlight Express and Song and Dance, I believe.
I did Cats was my first show, Song and Dance, Starlight Express, and now Cats again.
But you said you don't remember much about it, but what were some of the memories of originating in Starlight Express, Electra?
Yes. Well, it was my first show where I had, because Cats, I was a principal performer in Cats, but I didn't have a song. I didn't, everybody sang about me, and then I came out and caused mayhem. When I did Song and Dance, I was hired as an ensemble understudy. So I understudied two of the dancers that appear in the second act. And I went on a lot, which was great, but there was no big number for me. When I got Starlight Express, I had a number, I had a central character. It was huge for me. And it was an amazing experience. I loved recklessness. I loved being on roller skates. I would have done anything like swing across the stage on a rope. Anything dangerous I wanted to do, because I was a thrill seeker and very athletically agile. I was a gymnast, I was a dancer, and I loved just being physical. So Starlight Express was the perfect vehicle for me, being on roller skates and racing around the stage. I just had a blast. I had a blast doing that show.
From what I saw, there was a video online. It looks absolutely amazing as well. The costumes and the lights.
Yeah. I had a costume that lit up, actually, that electrocuted me one day.
No.
Because the wires, it's a moving costume. So there's lights that trailed around, and one of the wires shorted and came loose. So I was touching the actual wire in the costume. And it must have been a pretty strong battery that kept the lights going on me or something. And I kept getting this shock of things until I just was on the floor, like, my dresser, her name is Debbie, I can't think of her last name, great dresser that I had, actually cut the costume off of me. I mean, this was like back then in the 80s, $25,000 costume of some kind. And she just cut it, because like either I cut the costume or I could die in it. So I remember that distinctly, of going to the ER, the emergency room, after that show, or during the show at one point, where they had to cut the costume off of me.
Wow, must be a terrifying experience.
Well, it was dramatic. I don't remember it as being terrifying. I just remember at one point that I couldn't move because of the cost, because I was being shocked by the costume. And part of it, I'm sure, was exhaustion, because, you know, you're doing a major show, you're singing and dancing, and for 2.5, 3 hours, you're just running on adrenaline. And so it could have been many different factors, but yes, I was being electrocuted by the Starlight Express Electra costume.
Another show that must be still extremely hard on the body with not only dancing, but dancing on skates.
Oh yeah, it is. It was a major feat to do that. And you know, it wasn't like a huge hit show like Cats, but I believe we ran for like 2 years, 18 months or something like that. It was a nice run.
It's was back in the West End for a while again too.
Yeah, it just I believe it's closing soon, or it just closed. I saw and probably ran for the same amount of time. I was in London for a while because my husband was working on a show on the West End, and we happened to be there when it opened, and it was on my birthday. So of course I had reconnected with Andrew and got tickets to see opening night. It was pretty impressive.
Yeah, and I think it's also a show that can't run that long because it must be even harder to find dancers for that who can do that long stays.
I think it could run forever. I mean, it's been running since it opened on the West End somewhere. There's a theater in Germany where it's still running. And one of the major characters who played Pearl on Broadway, Reva Rice, is still doing it. That's the only show she's ever done. Well, we did a few shows. I think I did Ain't Misbehaving with her somewhere, but it's Starlight Express. She got back into it and she's been in it ever since. And now she's playing, instead of playing the young, pretty Pearl, she's playing the old trained grandpa or grandma.
I think that's also a wonderful thing that some people just stay in a show because but they must love it, and because it must feel comfortable to always have something to go to.
Well, it does. I mean, Marlena Danielle, who was the understudy for Demeter, Wendy Edmeade originated the role. Wendy Edmeade I don't think she did it for a year. I think she did it for a few months, and then it's like, I'm out of here. This is too hard. And then Marlena Danielle took over. And Marlena Danielle stayed in the show until it closed. So for 18 years, she did that show. She raised her son, put him through college. She bought property upstate. She has horses. It's a great career if you can do that. For me, I would find very difficult to be in one show for that long, but people do it. And every reunion where I went back to see Cats, Marlena Danielle looked better than anybody else in the show. So she really loved the stability of it. If you can find a stable job as an actor, that's an amazing thing. And you have the wherewithal to do it. That's, I don't know if my patience level would handle that. But I love being on Broadway. I don't know how long this show is going to last. But, I'll be with it for my contract, which is a year. And we'll see what happens after that.
I hope it stays longer because of what it's bringing to Broadway, this audience, and because I heard people who never went to Broadway before go to this one because presented in it.
Well, it's because it represents a part of society that's rarely seen. And there's so many queer, Black, gay, Latinx people, trans people that are coming to the show and finding a certain comfort within going, we are a part of the culture.
And especially now with everything that's going on in the world and especially in America.
Especially in America.
Yes.
Especially in America, where this show you come to, and we're not preaching anything. We're not telling you how to be. We're just showing you how the pure joy of being who we are. And that that in itself is amazing.
It is, and I think it's the best message you can give.
Yeah.
Come here, be who you are, and be among, in many ways, a sort of unity, a family.
Yes, exactly.
Do we have a message for the Cats fans from past and present?
Just that if you love cats, you're going to love this Cats production. It is the same music and the same libretto. It's just done in a different atmosphere. It's heightened very much. And I hope it inspires people, not just queer, gay, straight, trans people, but I hope it inspires people to live their fullest life and their full joy. That's how when I taught at Frank Saunders Academy. I taught at Lucia March's Academy. I taught in classes, dance arabesque in where are they? They're in Belgium. And I always try to teach people to be inspired by the art. I remember some students asked me how they can make a living on Broadway, and I thought about it, and I said, you can't. You don't do it for that. You have to do it because you love it. And if you love the arts, you'll find a way. Money will find you if you're doing it for the love of it. If you're doing it looking for money, you're in the wrong business.
Thank you so much for this wonderful interview.
Thank you, Dannii, and you have a great time. You have a great rest of your day, and I look forward to hearing this interview, and it was lovely talking to you.
It was wonderful talking to you, and thank you for all the history and everything you told, because it was great to hear.
Oh, thanks so much. You have a great day.
Same to you, and have a wonderful week performing.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Behind the Mirror of Music with Dannii Cohen.